Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this particular video, we are going to talk about the different flavors of what you can do with your different Playwright fixtures. So we have looked at the one of the Playwright fixture, which is browser fixture. Today in this video, we're going to look at the another fixture, which is called page fixture. But before that, I had told you all in the last session that you can also look at the folder where your execution has happened. So this is how your folder would look like. And in this, you would see the Playwright report folder is there, and you can look at the different datas inside that. So if you see here, there is a index.html. So from here also, you can open your Playwright report. So this is what I wanted to show you all. And in the test results, you can see your trace and other things get also captured in your local explorer. Okay. And this is the node modules folder where what all dependencies you have used in your playwright.config.js or basically with your package.json, everything gets captured over here. So you can have a look at this. So let's go deep dive into our second part of today's session. So what we're going to look at now is a page fixture. So what I'll do is I'll create a new test case and I will say second test case, or let me say it as page fixture test case. And let me just rename the above one as, let's say, a browser fixture, because these are the different fixtures which we can have in Playwright, which we are using right now. So here I'm going to use a sync method for the method, and we are going to use a arrow function. So for an arrow function, what we need to ensure is that we have a parenthesis, we have an arrow, and we are defining a coverage over here using this curly braces, and we are putting a semicolon at the end of the method. Now, why are we putting a curly brace over here? So this is because that any particular variable which we are using from Playwright library has to be within a curly brace. Otherwise, it will not be treated like a Playwright variable. So we are going to use a page fixture right now. Okay. And that would mean we are not going to start off our execution or basically a statement with context creation. Directly, we are going to use the usage of these statements. So let me copy these statements right away and let me put over here. Okay. And let me say one is a positive, let's say one is a negative. So I'm going to say this one is Google, a positive test case, and the above one is a negative test case. We want to execute via both page fixture as well as with using a browser fixture, right? So there is not much of a difference here. Now, why are we using page fixture? Why are we using browser fixture? Now, if there are certain property which we need to use with the instantiation of a browser fixture, example like we want a specific context, then we can go ahead with the browser fixture. If we don't want to use any context, if we want to directly start a session directly with a page fixture, we can go with page, because it's something similar to like in Selenium how we had desired capabilities. So you can say it's something similar to that. If you want to use a particular version, a particular operating system, or a particular property of a browser, we can try to go for the browser fixture. If you don't want all that to happen, if you directly want, once your page is loaded, from there onward your session to get started, we can directly go for the page fixture. So now you see here, it's an isolated page instance where for every page we are creating this object, and pages are isolated between the test due to the fixture dot context isolation. So let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and run this test case. So we should get two test cases running right now. Now let me run it. We can see here one test case has got passed and one has got failed, and both are running in Chromium browser. And this is how the execution report looks like, right? And for page fixture, since we have done a proper matching with respect to the title, we are getting a pass here. And for the other one, it's a fail. So this is the previous report. So I'm going to close it out. Let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. So this is how we can have separate tests for browser fixture and for page fixture. Now, what we have seen so far is only from a test case perspective, how the documentation or how the steps have to be written. And we have looked at one session where we looked at our execution report. I want to throw some more light onto playwright.config.js. Then from next session onwards, we'll go into the locators of our Playwright. Okay, so I've already explained the usage of these use attributes in my previous session. So if you have not watched that video, please do watch it and then you'll get more insights on what are these different attributes. Now, apart from that, what we have is here we are having test directory. So here is where our tests are going to be run from. Means whatever tests are present in test directory are going to be run from. But if you see here as given a exact match, test match, that please run the test cases from this particular file only. Means which are matching with, it could be in any subfolder inside test, but any file which is having this as a prefix. So I've given exact name like example.spec.js. So only the files or only the test within these file would be getting run. I want it to be running in a fully parallel mode. That's why I've given it true. And there are two threads to do the execution over here. If you see the retries here, right? Okay. And how many workers are using here? That also I've given here one. So this I can give two so that I can have two threads in case if there are more than one test case, it will be running using two threads to do the parallel execution. And here I've given a retry count of 2. It's into HTML format and this we have already seen. And in projects I've given only one browser right now. We can also uncomment it to run it in the multiple browsers. So that is all what I have done. And there is one more portion here that in case, let's say, your development team also has having the same code deployed into this particular project. So often what would happen is that you would not be hard coding the browser or the website in your test cases, right? What would happen is the development team would point it to a lower environment or to a higher environment, but it would actually take you to this local host and a particular port number. But internally, in their configuration files, which dev is actually maintaining at GitHub, they will ensure that this local host is actually pointing to a lower environment or higher environment based on their configuration. Okay. So don't worry much about that into detail right now. We will see this later on when we try to cover up the environment concept. So we can have a way of running our test across different environments. So that's a very interesting feature which we have within Playwright. So we'll come to that point. Okay. So what you have to understand right now is how do you write a test case, and your test case file should always end with .spec.js. You need to understand package.json as to how did we install dependencies. So if you've not watched my first video, that will give you an idea of how this file was created and how this dev dependencies JSON object has also got added over here. And playwright config.js we have covered in this video and in our last video. And we have also covered the report in our last video. So this forms the basics of Playwright, what we need to get started with. In the next video, we will get started with the locators in Playwright. So stay tuned for that video. And if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, please do go ahead and subscribe to it. Thank you so much.